And I want to ask the question, reissues have always been a topic that I think most collectors have been pretty fine with, right? I've always been fine with reissues. I've always said, okay, it's fine. Like, give collectors another chance. It's not a big deal, right? But I do think the times are changing a little bit. And I'm wondering if the age of reissues may be over. The age of 2.0s, no. 3.0s, no. They could always remake a figure. But I'm wondering if reissuing a figure, just flat out reissue, no changes, is a thing of the past. And, there are probably several reasons that you can look at as to why, maybe it was profitable for Hot Toys, but maybe in the long term detrimental, right? The Mark V, the Mark 47, the Mark 46. What other ones have they reissued? Probably several others, right?
All the Dark Knight figures.
Yeah, the Dark Knight ones. Those are like 2.0s though. But
War Machine, I think they reissued the Mark
War
II, right?
War Machine,
So-
Darth Vader, technically from the Empire Strikes Back line.
Yeah, the 40th anniversary one. Yep. What do you think, Kiko? I mean, should Hot Toys be reissuing figures in the current state that we're in right now?
Well, I've done 2 videos on this before, and I don't think they are reissues. I don't think that they've. Yes, there are some reissues, but in the grand scheme of things, especially with the number of stuff they put out, I think the number still stands. I have to go back and check my data, but I think it's like 5% of all figures, maybe 4 or 5% of all figures ever get released or reissued, and of those 4, 80% are Iron Man and Batman. So if you're sitting there just fingers crossed waiting for the reissue of your favorite figure, I think that time definitely, as you had mentioned here, has certainly passed, especially with Heavy Mando 2.0, whatever you want to call that. I mean, that was literally a reissue with a shield.
And now the armor, Kiko.
And now well, that's not up for pre-order. That was just shown.
But I think it probably will be. I mean, it seems like it will be. So
When none of these Moff Gideon figures are sold, then I doubt that'll go up.
maybe.
Who knows? Who knows for sure? But it's unless they're literally just taking stuff and repackaging the box and they're like, hey, we got a lot of these sitting around, because they're still sitting there. You can't even move them. I'm waiting for the reissue of Captain Marvel at this point to go with the Marvels, coming out. I mean, I just don't think it makes sense. They have so many other things they need to focus on. If you do a reissue, be like, hey, go back, do it like what Funko did or whatever. I know people are going to shoot me for thinking about comparing Hot Toys or Funko or whatever, but do like the idea of vault, the vaulted figures or something like that. Or be like, hey, we're going to do a vaulted release of Darkside Anakin. There's going to be 300 worldwide vaulted release of, there you go. I'd be okay with that, because they are limiting it. They are bringing attention. And if you really, really want it, then you could probably try to get it or whatever. But there's too many other things coming out and there's way too much dead stock. I just don't see them just like pumping out stuff. But the only thing that could throw a wrench in that plan, as I've been saying over these past couple of weeks, if there are no movies, if there are no TV shows, they are going to have to revisit because there's no new content at that point.
It's true.
So I don't know.
Yeah. Could be. Well, Riley, what do you think, man? I mean, should Hot Toys be reissuing figures? And Kiko is right. That data that he had in that video was awesome. And it was like, 5% of figures, and it's pretty much all Batman and Iron Man, right? Because, a lot of us were saying, incorrectly, including myself, saying, oh, they're going to reissue the Darkside Anakin. They're going to do XYZ. And they didn't. And Kiko was right. Kiko is right sometimes. So,
right sometimes.
Much of an ass as I am, I do
Always
know my
right.
stuff sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. He does. But Riley, what do you think? I mean, do you expect to see any reissues moving forward in the near future?
I would say no. I don't think that we're getting reissues anymore. But like you said, yes, we'll get like their 1.5s, because sometimes they'll do something really, really sleek. Like they'll add a shield with like that heavy infantry, like a 1 point. That was basically like a 1.2 or something, basically. But I think the reissue age and era is just over. And like Kiko was saying, I agree with all of his points. But I also want to say that I think competition also has to deal with that. I don't think that they can really reissue just stuff anymore, because there's different companies just producing great stuff. So if they just schlocked out like a reissue of the same head sculpt with the same tailoring, I think collectors would actually be kind of pissed off. They'd be like, why would you just reissue this when you can make this better? You can do we even saw that with the Artisan Anakin. What happened when the Artisan Anakin went up? Everyone was saying, why isn't the tunic leather? Like, why is there no differences on the body? There's no changes to it. And collectors are kind of annoyed by that. So that's kind of telling you, if they're keeping the same materials as such older figures, that's not gonna let a lot of collectors pass by. I mean, Anakin, he's an iconic character, so maybe that'll let him pass by a bit. But when you're reissuing figures with the same material or the same sculpt, I just don't think at this age of collecting, it's just not going to work anymore. And the only way it could, like Hiko said, is if they did like a limited thing, like they did with this Iron Man, the quarter scale, 300 or 500, because at that point, the people who had the original wouldn't really care as much because it's going to be schlocked by an exclusive band and it's probably going to go up in value. So I'd say that's the only way they can really pass a reissue. But from now on, I just think they've got to update their figures. They've got to do 2.0s because I think collectors just aren't going to be satisfied with a basic reissue.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, this Iron Man Mark 46, for example, they've already been discounting the hell out of it. And it's a great figure.
True.
It's a new base. I get that. So it's not a straight reissue, I guess you could say, because it has a new base, but it's the same
new
figure.
base and no head sculpt, though.
Right. New
not
base
having
and
the
no
head
head sculpt.
A big thing to me.
Yep, it is. Because that one had like a sort of battle damage head sculpt. It had like a black eye.
Yeah, I love
right.
that. That's one of my favorite Tony sculpts.
Good head sculpt. It's a good head sculpt. But yeah, I mean, but this is a soft reissue, I guess you could say, and it is sitting. Maybe they just made too many of them. But that one guy, he said reissue Mark 46, reissue Mark 46. He got his way, bro. He got his way. I don't remember who it was, but he was there every time. And I love how the comment was like flowing every time. It was like it was replying to his own comment. Dude, it was so good, man. So good. And he got it. He did it. So he pulled it off. Yep. And look at that. You can see the exclusive in the top left. I don't know about this one. I don't know if this was that exclusive, right? Yeah. But I don't know. To me, I would say maybe reissuing figures short, like the comments have said. I agree. Remakes, 2.0s, 3.0s, whatever. I think that's welcome in today's age. If you can improve the figure in some way, but a straight reissue in today's market, I think that would be highly questionable. The only thing, like Kiko said, is if Disney and Bob Iger, Papa Iger are like, you know what? Let's reel back on all the content we're making, and Hot Toys runs out of shit to make. Then they'll be like, let's reissue that Darkside Anakin or something like that. Then maybe they'll do some shit like that. But or they could just make it artisan and then people will lose their shit. So, which will happen at some point. I mean, it's going to be, the Darkside Anakin rooted artisan version will be, they're just clearly selling the light side one first. Yeah, exactly. They're selling the light side one first, Kiko, because then they know that they're going to get everyone to buy that, get hype about it. Then when that one sells out, they'll say, now you bitches, Darkside. Like that's what they're going to do. Bro. And they'll probably put a sculpted version up too, Riley, like they did with Joker. And then everyone will be happy. So not everyone, but most people, because not everyone's always going to be happy, but most people.